Are you tired of all the voices who say, focus on the bottom line numbers?
Say whatever you have to, just close the sale.
Just get the credit card. It doesn't matter what you deliver.
You will never build a successful business until you grow a pair and stop caring so much.
Here, we respectfully disagree. We give you permission to embrace who you are, how much you care, and encourage you to design a business that works for you and your clients. Welcome to The Art of Giving a Damn, the podcast that proves with every single episode that you can create a profitable business doing what you're passionate about and making a positive difference in the world. Now here's your host, Michelle Schaefer.
Hey, welcome to this episode of The Art of Giving a Damn. This episode's going to be a little different than you're used to on the show because when a lot of my clients and people found out I was interviewing today's guest, they threw a list of questions at me. So I've actually got scripted questions today. Jim, welcome to the show and thanks so much for joining me.
So awesome. Glad to be here. I know we've been trying to connect this for months.
Yes, we have. I am excited. So for those who don't know Jim yet, he's the founder of Gain the Edge and is known in personal development and business coaching as the go-to guy for everything sales. He's a master collaborator whose purpose is to help entrepreneurs like you and me leverage the power of collaboration to scale their business so they can have a bigger impact on the world the way they intended. Jim is known for telling his sales team, it's not what you say, it's who you're being while you say it.
Amen.
That's a really interesting way to kind of flip that around. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, too much of sale. I think everybody here, unless this is the first day that you're in a business world of any kind, we've all been through some sort of sales training. Yeah. And the consistent threads through all of them are telling you what to say and when to say it, how to say it, where to say it, what to read and how to respond. I disagree. You know, what people don't care what you say. They care how you make them feel. They care how they connect to you. They care about, we're always looking for clarity, certainty, and confidence. You have to inspire those in people. And that's not inspired by a script. That's inspired by who you're being and how you're showing up. And a script can't tell you what to say and what to do. Neither can a system. You have to be able to be in yourself, be able to be just totally clean, present, transparent, so focused on the other person that you just are able to take the conversation wherever it needs to go instead of where you need them to go.
I love that. That's one of the first conversations that you and I had was about sales scripts and this pressure that everybody feels when they're trying to do sales in their business of, okay, I got to follow the script. I got to ask the right questions. And it throws people off. Like they get so lost in the idea of, no, but I got to follow the script. I got to follow the script to make sure people get to that pitch at the end. And not only does it feel awkward for us doing the selling, it feels horrible for the person on the other side of a sales conversation because it's like, is this person listening to me at all when they're just following scripted questions?
Right. Yeah. The script doesn't tell you who to be and how to be. That only comes from you. I do my best not to answer specific questions from people about stuff because you know your client better than I do. You have the answers better than I do. I just need to get you to the right frame of mind to be able to trust your instincts to ask a tough question or know when to shut up or know when to eliminate somebody instead of trying to force them across the finish line because you need a sale.
That's a great point. So how did you get into what you do now with Gain the Edge and the sales coaching and sales team part of things? Like what's been your journey there? I know you have a pretty unique story.
Yeah, most of this is accident. I would say 90% of everything we've accomplished has been just a journey of trial and error because most people, there's not a lot of models for us to follow. We're kind of a unique business, being the outsourced arm for so many, successful journeys for other coaches and experts. And I was actually doing an outsourced sales management and doing sales training. Mm-hmm. And somebody, we're teaching people our strategies and philosophies around sales. And I was running teams and we had somebody, actually Bill Barron was our very first launch client that we have worked with 5 years ago. And he was getting ready to do his first big $1 million launch. And it dawned on him last minute that he didn't really have a sales team and he could get a better results with an official sales team.
Right.
So he said, hey, how about, can you just run our sales for the launch? Mm-hmm. Can you? And I literally had never worked a launch. And we're like,
oh, wow.
Sure. Why not? I had no team. I had no technology and literally no experience running launches. And I just called a bunch of my clients and friends and said, hey, let's rock and roll for the next few weeks, make a bunch of sales and make a bunch of money. So we call it the Bad News Bears in a Google Doc because we had 12 people in a Google Doc. It was a disaster it was kind of a shit show in terms of tracking. And I know there was things that were lost. It was a mess for everybody. It was disorganized for us, disorganized for them since it was their first big launch. But it was a wildly successful $1.6 million launch. Everybody was happy. And within the next week, I had a line at the door of people saying, hey, can you help us with our launch? And now 5 years later and about 4,000 mistakes later, we are, got this huge team, 100 salespeople, systems, custom software, training, and now we're very much known in the industry for what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are the name that always comes up when I get into this conversation with people. It's one of the things I love about what you just said is so many times people think you've got to have it all together. You got to have a plan for everything. And really, it is what you just said. It's just jumping in. If you know and you have the confidence that you can deliver on it, you just figure it out as you go.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun. It has been crazy. If I knew all of the stress and learnings and growings and the hundreds of thousands of dollars that we have totally screwed up and lost because we've done things wrong, I never would have done this. But it's been an awesome journey. And now I'm thrilled of what it's delivered for us and for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you mentioned sales process and that you do a lot of coaching around that for people. What are the biggest mistakes that you see entrepreneurs making as they grow their companies when it comes to that sales piece? Because so many of them just either want to avoid it or they do it, but they don't enjoy it. They resent it. I mean, I hear all the time people even say, I hate sales, because it's so uncomfortable. Yeah. So what do you see around that as an industry needs to change?
Well, first of all, there's three main components. First of all, our theme that we've adopted, we just came across this last week and we're doing a strategic planning and visioning meeting. And we looked at everything that we do, all the common areas and threads in our business. And what's the common thread? And the theme that weaves through all of it is we are here to help you make more sales without you having to get better at selling, right? There's a massive pressure to perfect the sales process.
There is.
Quite honestly, I don't even know what that means, right? I'm known as like the sales guru and expert, and I'm pretty good at it. Okay, so let's not discount that. However,
you are.
Part of the reason I'm so effective at it is because I do 100 other things to elevate the system and the environment around me so that I don't have to be great at sales. I have phenomenal partnerships where people send me referrals all the time. My calendar is literally full from people who were sent here wanting to buy. Right. We do everything in our power to surrender. Like if you get more, I don't care what your conversion rate is, it could be 10%. Well, if you have more appointments, you make more sales, even if you suck at 10%. But there's byproducts to that. If you just 10x the level of output and you have more appointments, you automatically get better at diagnosing the conversations. You'll automatically get better at qualifying people because you won't want to have 30 conversations with the wrong people. You start knowing who the right people are. There's so many things that show up as a result of you doing more of that. Right? You 10x your follow-up. So when people use all the effort you did to bring people in the door, if you master the follow-up process, you have to bring less people in the door, right? Just little things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got hundreds of them.
Yeah. You did a podcast episode. I'm not sure which episode it was. You might remember where you talked about follow-up and how to stop leaving money on the table. And I think that's an area that so many of us fall down on, really doing the follow-up that's necessary. And sometimes people think they're horrible at sales when really their follow-up just isn't there.
Yeah. I don't remember the title of it, but if you go to salesunscripted.com and then, search for the episode for follow-up, it should pull up. But here's the key to it is every single thing you do in the sales process, you have to remember that this is just a series of decisions that people are making. Should they even stop and look at your ad, or should they listen to the talk you're doing, or should they listen to the interview you're on or watch you on stage? Decision. Should they take action on whatever it is you offered? Decision. Should they show up for an appointment? Decision. If you're not treating each one of those decisions like its own sales conversation, you're blowing it. So if the first decision I need you to make before any of these other decisions matter is how do I get you to show up to listen to this interview? It doesn't matter. I could give liquid gold on this call right now. If nobody listens to it, it's useless.
Right.
So I need to make sure you understand what this is about, what's the benefit to you, what's the cost of you not listening, before I ever even worry about where I'm sending you at the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
Right? Then when you show up, showing up is not the deal. How do I make sure that you know if you listen to this whole podcast, your life will change? Right? So that's why, that's why literally that's where that line came from. You want to learn how to make more sales without getting better at selling? Listen to me, or you're going to do a lot more work and have a lot more stress and a lot less money.
I love that. So I had to look it up just for anybody listening who's wondering. It's episode 40 and the title is Stop Leaving Money on the Table. Perfect. So make sure you go subscribe. Jim's podcast is fantastic if you're looking for an approach to sales that you will not hate, that will feel a lot more natural because, like he said, it's not about following a script. There's a lot more flexibility in there than a lot of people teach. So I'll
give you one tweak. Friend of mine who is an operations person, she's a CEO genius. She's an efficiency expert. And a Facebook ad ran through my feed this morning and she has a video in it and phenomenal nuggets. I got like 5 tips in there that'll immediately 10x my day.
Awesome.
But she's kind of, if you know her, she's like quirky and kind of, lovable, right? But it's not like, if you don't know her, it might not be as compelling, right? So I literally I jumped on the phone with her. We spent a 10-minute conversation. I gave her a couple of quick ideas to, again, she had something 7 minutes into the video that was just made the whole video. And I said, that needs to be the first 10 seconds of your video. Hey guys, I want you to know I'm here to help you be able to make more money with less time or whatever, right? And if you make sure you get to the 7-minute mark, you're going to see how we took somebody from barely being able to run one business to being able to run 2 7-figure businesses part-time. You need to be on. Who's not going to listen to that? That would
grab my attention. That would absolutely grab it.
Right. So, but again, it's just being able to make sure that people show up. And the other part is, I told her, I'll give you total permission to tell people, look, I am an operations genius. I will 10x your brain, your efficiency, your mindset. I'm just not a great salesperson. So give me a break right now. And then what happens? You immediately flip the script, right? Now you have people rooting for you. They're like, oh, that's cute. That's okay. You're doing great, honey. You get that vibe. So anybody who struggles with sales, that is the number one thing I will say. That's your first step. Give yourself permission to suck at sales and be totally transparent about it. Say, hey, look, I'm a fantastic SEO guy, or I'm a copywrite-aholic, whatever. What I'm really not good at is the sales conversation. So I'm probably going to yammer and stammer and say stupid stuff. Don't hold it against me because I'm fantastic at that part. And 100% of the time, you're going to get people, oh, that's all right. You're doing, and they will root for you to win.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a great tip. I think so often, you start your business because you really you're good at something. And then you end up, instead of being able to play in that genius zone, trying to master all these other things and feeling like you've got to be great at everything because suddenly it's all on your plate. And people are so quick to feel that pressure and so slow to go, okay, who can I hand this off to? So that's one of the questions that I actually have on my list is, how do you know when you're ready to outsource some of those pieces? Because I know people come to you and they're like, Jim, handle our sales. How do you know when you're at that level where you're ready to pull in somebody else for that piece?
Yeah, it's really important to understand the different components of your business and how they directly lead to outcomes. Because in order for you to bring somebody in, whether it's hiring a VA, bringing in an expert, outsourcing a team, you need to understand what's the ROI of that transaction. So like we literally have a strategy in our company so that no matter who we hire, we need to make sure that they are a self-funded position, right? So even as simple as if I bring somebody on that's going to take 10 hours a week worth of tasks off of my plate. Okay. So let's say it costs you, I don't know, $300 to pay that person 10 hours a week. Well, what are you doing in those 10 hours that offsets $300?
Right.
Right. So that's first and foremost. You need to be able to monetize everything so they're self-funded. And then, but before you can do that, you have to know what those tasks are and how they lead to an outcome. So just break down everything, make a wheel of roles, and you're playing all those roles right now. So you put your name in all of them, and your goal is to start finding other people to do those roles, especially the ones that don't require your expertise to be on it, right? They're just wasting your time. Yeah. And then you can start making a decision based on efficiency and expectation. You say, okay, now in order for right now, I'm spending too much time on this. I need to maximize the ROI of this particular task. And in order for me to do that, I have to have somebody else do it. So it's not just about bringing a person on. It's thinking about the amount of time you have to put into it. Like if you hire a salesperson, that's a great solution. However, many times you've just given yourself another job now, because now you have to train them, babysit them. You hire a salesperson, you have to be able to fill them with enough leads to keep them busy and not too many leads so you don't lose them.
Right.
Now you have a whole nother job. So you need to have somebody who is actually totally in charge of that strategy, which is something that our company does, right? So you need to know what are the costs and the benefits so that you know what questions you need to ask of an expert to determine that case. Like for us, we're kind of a heavy footprint for a solopreneur.
Right.
So most solopreneurs aren't necessarily, they just couldn't keep up with us. We couldn't give them the value they need, and we're not the cheapest. So you have to have the revenue to be able to sustain that, but it's also going to give you a 10X. If you invest with us, you're going to 10X, but most people aren't ready to 10X.
Yeah, you've got to be at a certain level. And like you said, have some of those pieces in place, both in terms of being able to send the leads over and being able to deliver on the other side of it.
Correct.
So you've got to be ready to
Yeah, because one of the things we can do is we can scale you right out of business.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you have a bunch of new clients, you can't serve them. Your reputation sucks, you lose clients, and you're gone.
Yeah.
And we don't want that for anybody.
Right.
So the main thing for you is to really understand what's your growth rate, what are the roles that you need to be able to fulfill, and how do you make sure that you're monetizing it so that it's effective for you.
I love that. It's one of those things that so often people don't stop and think about. How is this position going to pay for itself when you bring somebody onto your team? It's one of the things that, I learned a while back, included in the proposal. How am I going to cover my own cost if somebody hires me? I should have a plan for that to show them this is what you're investing. This is the potential of the outcome of us working together. It makes a huge difference when you start looking at things that way in your business.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I know we got to get to other things, but it's really important to think about this. And one thing we took on this past year is we broke down every single component of how we serve a client. And we're starting to look at each of them as their own division, because we do things that maybe we're not necessarily the right person to be doing them. We just do them because we know our client needs it.
Right.
And so now we're like, okay, that's its own separate division. If it were to run by itself, would we want to run it? If not, do we bring somebody into it?
Great question to ask yourself.
Could we buy a company who does that?
Yeah.
Right? So start thinking like that all the time. Look at every single piece as its own division. And, like us, we don't build funnels. I can evaluate anybody's funnel until it's good. I have no interest in wanting to build and nurture funnels. So we've brought partner companies in who do that. And, so it's just being really smart about where and when to bring people in.
Yeah. Especially as you're starting to scale your business and bring team in, it's easy to look at it and go, oh, okay, well, clients need this. We can do these 15 different things, but then you lose focus. And sometimes creating those really strategic partnerships like you've got with people who build funnels or other companies are the smarter way to be able to scale and grow and keep your focus on what you're really good at.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So a couple more questions I want to make sure I ask here, because I'm gonna get some flack if I don't. How do you know who's the right team to hire? Like if you were interviewing sales teams, what questions would you ask them?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things. We're actually in the process of putting out a new program where if you need because we want to be able to serve the smaller companies, and instead of you hiring our team, you can hire us to help you. We have a hiring funnel. We hire all the time here. And so we have hiring funnels where it'll start with a video where it'll match you for values. Then it goes to an audio, 12-minute audio that explains the flow and how we work. Then it leads you to a questionnaire that challenges you. But the most important part of it is we're putting you through a sales process. If you don't respond well through this, I already know you don't have what it takes to handle a tough sales conversation. Right. Then it'll lead to a conversation with one of me or one of my team leaders where we are challenging you. And essentially the entire call is about you selling yourself and being off balance and having to essentially overcome objections. And then if that works, then we'll have you go to a video where you have to send on video. You send us a quick recording of what is either we'll give you a strategy to address or an objection to overcome, as well as something personal about you. Like if I was to show up on that video, I'd be wearing I got Yankee stuff everywhere. I'd be wearing a Derek Jeter jersey because that's one of the coolest things about me. I'm true blue, pinstripes, Bronx, Puerto Rican, go Yankees, right? So, but it's stuff we want to see. And then we invite them to a role play call. We get to see, like I have a role play call tomorrow with 3 candidates, and I'm just going to watch them live and evaluate. Then from there, we make decisions. So we're offering that to people where we will help them. They will give them our template for a funnel. That funnel will sit on the end of that funnel because you don't know how to hire salespeople. I mean, you personally, but you, the listener.
Right. If we knew how to do that, we wouldn't need help.
Exactly. So we'll vet them. And then the only people who will come through our process that we introduce to you will be people we know could be qualified candidates. Now you just got to sign off on, do you like them or not? But because if you hire them, they will fool you. They're salespeople. They will convince you that they're good at what they do, and they're going to blow smoke up your ass. Say, you're amazing, and I love your vision, and I love your mission. You go, oh, I love this guy. I want to hire him. Yeah. And then blah, blah, he doesn't produce, right?
Yeah.
So you need to have a strategy set up. We do the same thing for our operations teams. We put them through a different funnel where we give them a project to solve and a timeline to reach and a challenge that's going to require they reach out to ask somebody a clarification question. And if they don't do it, we know they're not comfortable asking for help. We just want to see them in action.
Yeah.
Right. So always think through what is the experience you need somebody to have. And then you can determine what experience you need to create for them to determine if they can actually produce in that environment. Resumes mean nothing.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. And you're totally right about good salespeople can sell anybody on anything, but sometimes they're selling us on something that maybe doesn't get delivered on the back end. So what are typical numbers? That's another question I got. Like if you have somebody handling sales and they do 10 sales calls with qualified leads, because that's really key. The people have to be qualified in terms of a good fit, in terms of actually able to invest and all of those things. But if they had people who theoretically could say yes, what's the typical close rate? And what's the typical close rate for if we're doing our own sales calls as well?
Well, it's interesting because, it's going to sound like a cop-out, but it depends.
Yes.
Right? We have some campaigns that we're converting at 68% on. Wow. We have other campaigns we're converting at 22%. And every time we're on the high end, it's a direct correlation to your relationship with your list. Like we literally have clients, Danny Inney, if you don't know him.
He's fantastic.
Genius, right?
Yeah.
And he has one of the most incredible relationships with his list of anybody we've ever worked with. Literally, he can send a cold email to his list with no videos, no opt-ins, nothing, direct to a sales conversation, and we'll convert it over 50%.
Wow.
And then we have other people that would never happen. They have to send them to a video, to a webinar, to a qualification questionnaire, just to eliminate the wrong people so we can get to the right people. And even then, we're going to convert 30%. Right. So your relationship, the clarity of your targeting of your marketing, the refinement of your messaging, your ability to, here's a very key distinction, pull them in the beginning and then start pushing them away the rest of the time. So pull them into the door so they're attracted. Then what you're going to do is you're going to raise the bar. This is how high you have to be to ride the ride. And they spend the rest of the funnel trying to get over that bar. Because you're going to call the best out of them, and they can't make a great decision about their business or their life unless they're at their best state. So you need to spend your entire sequence elevating them so they show up in a powerful way so you can get to clarity right away and make a great decision.
I love that. That's a great point. So many times people feel like they failed at sales or at certain pieces when the sales didn't go well because another piece wasn't set up right in the foundation.
Most of the time.
Part of it. Yeah.
That's why we always focus on, more sales without getting better at selling. If you just get better at messaging and targeting, some clients want a low barrier to entry because they want thousands of leads. Other people have a higher barrier to entry so we can get hundreds of leads, but those are much more leveraged leads that actually do something that you want.
Yeah, that's one of the conversations I've had with clients over and over again. We get to that point where we start talking about sales calls and they're like, maybe I just need to hire somebody else to do it. And when I start digging into what's really going on, it's, well, you don't suck at sales. You're talking to the wrong people. These are not your ideal clients. So
and then you start trying to fix the wrong thing.
Yes. And that's easy to do. That's easy to do is when you're identifying a problem. That's one reason I think reaching out to people who can help you see the big picture is so important, because otherwise you're trying to diagnose yourself. And, even the best brain surgeon in the world can't do brain surgery on themselves.
Correct.
It doesn't work. And we don't see sometimes that whole picture. So we think we're fixing the problem, and it's really a totally different problem.
I went to a massage therapist because I had really this nagging shoulder in my shoulder blade driving me nuts. I started doing kickboxing. So I'm doing all kinds of bag work, right?
Right.
Killing myself basically. But I went assuming, I'm like, no, you got to fix back here. It's like, no. Turns me over, starts working on my chest. Starts drilling on my chest. Starts searching down my IT band to my glute to fix something, follow it all the way down, fix something in my foot. And the whole time I go, no, my shoulder back here.
Oh, wow.
And 90 minutes later, my shoulder was great because everything else was connected. Like, look, trust me. Just trust me. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. You don't know how to diagnose your own problem. And you don't know how to articulate the problem clearly enough. That's most people. That's what happens to you. People show up thinking they're trying to solve one thing when they're really trying to solve something else. And as the expert, you're the one who has to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great illustration of how easy it is to think we have one problem when it's entirely something different.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. Well, let's let people know where they can go to connect with you and find out more about what you guys do, how you can support them. I've got 2 different links, guys, for wherever you're listening or watching this that I will put in the comments. One of them is a link that you can connect with Jim. If you're at that level, you're listening to this and you're going, this is what I need. This would help solve my problems. You can go to gtenow.com/get-strategy. GTE stands for gain the edge now.com/get-strategy. And that's where you can get in touch with Jim. We'll put a link to his podcast below this as well. It's called Sales Unscripted. If you are in that place where you're looking to learn more about sales and how to get better at it in a way that's not going to make you crazy, go subscribe to his podcast. You will find massive value there. Jim, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Definitely. I'll throw one more thing in here just since we were talking about it. I just put in a link here. It's gaintheedgenow.com/show-up, show-up. And
Awesome.
It's got 5 simple to execute tips that will help when people book an appointment with you. It will help you ensure they actually show up and prime for a conversation with you. To be a good example.
I'm going to check that out. So everybody make sure you click that link because we all know that's one of the hardest pieces of this whole process is getting the right people to set up the appointment and then getting them to actually show up so you can have that conversation.
Definitely.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show and for what you've shared. I think people are going to find that both fascinating and really valuable.
All right. Glad to be here. Thanks
Absolutely.
a lot.
So make sure you listen, rate, review, subscribe wherever you're at, and I will see you back on another episode of The Art of Giving a Damn.